One of the things I say the most on this floor is I'm going to ground us in reality. And I'm not going to say that today. What I am going to say is I want to ground us in the reality of the parents and the students of Annunciation. This truly has to be the most heartbreaking packet of letters we have ever received. And I'm going to read some of it, Mr. President, because these are the stories of Minnesotans and they deserve to be told on the floor of the Minnesota Senate. I'm the wife of the principal at Annunciation. August 27th wasn't a one-day event. We are still struggling and recovering months after the worst days of our lives. The look of panic and grief on the faces of the kids and teachers is a scene I will carry with me forever. Why do we allow weapons this destructive to tear apart our communities? The gunfire lasted approximately 2 minutes. 116 shots fired, 2 children lost their lives, 28 other people were injured, 24 school children and 3 elderly people, and many who sustained gunshot wounds. Why are we allowing this to continue to happen? You have a chance this session to make sure no other children have to go through what mine did. The reality for 300 students, faculty, and staff changed forever on August 27th in under 2 minutes. In the words of my 13-year-old survivor, no more fear, end gun violence. I love my children and the families at Annunciation. I would do anything to protect them. That's why I'm begging you. Please pass Senate File 4067. We can act for the children who are still here and ensure that others never have to experience this. At 6 years old, my daughter witnessed one of her best friends shot multiple times trying to find a spot under pews to hide. At 6 years old, she witnessed classmates murdered and brutally wounded as they sang inside church on the 3rd day of school. I am a 7th grader at Annunciation. As a school shooting survivor, I want it to be harder to get assault weapons. On August 27th, over 100 rounds were fired into the Annunciation Church at my friends and me. It was terrifying. Please do something. I am 9. During church, we went through a shooting, and my buddy and me didn't think it was real until we saw Maeve get shot. All I saw was black and blood behind me. I think guns should not be sold to anyone for reasons Harper and Fletcher died. Please do something to make it right. I'm sorry for not spelling that right. I'm a 5th grader. When we practiced for lockdown drills at school, I felt scared and awkward. August 27th was the scariest day of my life, and I don't want to happen to anyone else. I hope you will listen to my friends and me to keep us safe so no one has to go through what we went through. Mr. President, this is the most heartbreaking packet of letters I have ever received in my entire life. There's words in here like begging and pleading and no more normalcy. My 13-year-old still sleeps in my bed. My kids run when they hear nails being pounded into the roof, getting repaired next door. They can't hear basketballs bouncing or a car backfiring. My 6-year-old doesn't even have the words to tell me how scared she is. Trauma therapy, family therapy, night lights, no lights off. What is this world that we are creating for children? Mr. President, I was 8 years old when the assault weapons ban went into effect in this country. And I had the distinct privilege of being all the rest of my school years from 8 to 18 with an assault weapons ban in this country. Your risk of dying in a mass shooting from the time I was 8 to 18 was 70% lower than it is today. When I was a child, we used to learn the 3-word phrase, recycle, reduce, reuse. Now kids learn run, hide, fight. Children have the right to stay alive, and we need to do something. If those children were sitting at these desks and had the privilege and power of pressing one of these 2 buttons today, they would press green. Their parents would press green. But they're not sitting here, we are. We have the awesome privilege and power to represent this great state. And you have 6-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 9-year-olds begging you, begging us to do something. Mr. President, in my home, there is something that lives very large right now. I have a 4-year-old, and during Emergency Preparedness Week, she heard the sirens go off for the first time. We have been talking about those sirens since Emergency Preparedness Week. For hours that first week, it was every night for 2 hours. Are the sirens going to go off? What happens when the sirens go off? Why did the sirens go off? Those are tornado sirens. Nothing happened to my daughter. She just heard a loud sound. I cannot imagine how 300 sets of parents have to talk to their kids about this world. They were sitting in church, at school, the literal two safest places you could possibly be, or should possibly be. I think about the tornado siren conversation that I have with my daughter, and I think about those parents every night. I have a picture of the 9-year-old who wrote this letter in our packet and her brother in my office. I think of Harper and Fletcher every day. We pray for them in my church every Sunday. We can't do nothing. Mr. President, there are a lot of things that connect moms, kind of regardless of where you live in this world. Toddlers are feral, newborns are unpredictable, teenagers are mouthy. That's true, pretty much across the world. There is not one thing about what the Annunciation mothers experienced that relates to any other thing a mother experiences in this world. Gun violence is a uniquely American problem. Every other country on this planet has figured out how to not have their kids get shot in school. Last year, 89 kids died from gun violence in South Africa, 0 in Japan, 500 alone in the state of Texas. That's one state out of 50 in this country. We know what works. We know what saves lives. It's possible, Mr. President, I'm standing here today because I had the privilege of going to school during an assault weapons ban. We owe it to the children, and we owe it to their parents. We're not standing here performatively. I want everyone to look in this packet of letters and tell me what is performative about responding to a 9-year-old or a 5th grader or a 13-year-old is performative. Or saying that we're doing this to scare people. I wonder how the 300 students at Annunciation would feel if they heard that. I think they're pretty scared. They have every right to be scared. 116 bullets in 2 minutes went through their church windows, through their clothing, through their friends' bodies, through the church pews. That's scary. Mr. President, 1 year ago, I was in the library in my community and a woman came up to me and she said, "You saved my life." I'd never met her before. And I said, "Great. How?" And she said, "The 24-hour waiting period that you passed in 2023. I was feeling suicidal. I went to go buy a gun and I had to wait. And I'm alive today because of it." Gun regulations save lives. Laws save lives. If there is even one child that lives in this state that doesn't die because of gun violence, it is worth doing this today. And to the parents and the advocates who have worked tirelessly, of course, over the last 8 months, but for years, to make Minnesota safer, a safer place to live, to grow, to go to school or church or the synagogue or the mosque, to go to the grocery store, to the movie theater, drive. Thank you. Senator Port said that this is very controversial in this chamber. It is. It's partisan here, but it is not partisan in our communities. This is the only room in Minnesota where what we are passing today is partisan. Our state and our communities are begging for us to do something, to move our feet. And today I'm proud to vote green to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.